Hello everyone, it is your host SethTheProgrammer, and today we are going to be talking about the one, the only, the bodybuilder Legendary Saiyan Broly. Okay. Oh god. I'm actually really procrastinating making this video because I really don't want to get into Broly because there's two sides to Broly. There's always two sides. There's the one side that's like Broly's power is maximum. He could beat everybody. He solos Dragon Ball. And then there's the other side that's like Broly is fodder. He would get his ass stomped in by Buu Saga Goten or fucking Cell Jr. And there's just, where's the middleman? Where's the guy throwing the fucking facts down that Broly is just a very powerful fighter, but he's also not fodder to the Cell games or anything like that? And I've been debating about this for years. When I first started, I used to think that Broly was like half the power of Cell, right? That's what I actually thought. I thought he was half the power of Perfect Cell, and I was like, and maybe in movie 10 he gets a little bit closer, but he's still weaker. And now I've kind of gotten to the point where I have a new way of thinking about it. And when I look at it this way, everyone else just seems extremely inaccurate and wrong. Like all the videos I've seen, when you look at it this way, it just makes them all invalid. Okay, so the one thing that everybody on the fucking internet does when they're explaining Broly is they do a certain fallacy. Every single one of them. I mean, there's a few people that don't. Very few, but I've had to really tell everyone I've discussed Broly with for the past like 2.5 years that, hey, you're being fallacious. And that fallacy is connecting the main timeline to the Broly timeline and then power scaling them. So one of the main things they'll try to do is they'll try to connect the main timeline canons to the Broly movie canons, and then they'll try to power scale them, which is actually a fallacy because if you look at the Daizenshu movie interviews with Toriyama or whatever, he specifically states that the movies take place in an entirely different dimension and that he's entirely just an audience for them. They don't correlate to each other whatsoever. Really, the only thing that is relevant is more so the designs of the characters and maybe the timeline it takes place in, but the power scaling is completely different. A good example of this is you could take the Tree of Might movie, right? In the Tree of Might movie, Goku's stated to be like a 30,000, whereas in the Saiyan saga, he was 8,000, and in the Namek saga, he's 90,000. So how the fuck could he be 30,000 if he's between those timelines? It just doesn't logically make sense. Same thing with Fusion Reborn. In Fusion Reborn, Goku screams so hard it shakes the fucking afterlife, which is like as big as a universe, whereas in the normal timeline, he can shake Earth. When you take these things into effect, they just aren't the same levels of power, and a lot of people just don't get that. They're like, well, Broly, he took hits from Mastered Super Saiyan Goku, so he should be around Cell Games level. I think Perfect Cell would probably rod him, but because he was in the Cell Games, I think he would just get destroyed. And it's like, no, no, they don't power scale the same way as the Cell Games would, because it's not the same fucking dimension, or even the same powers within such, and there's no proof of that. Literally, the only proof is that they are in the same somewhat era of time, not necessarily the same powers, and a lot of people just aren't getting that. Okay, so now you may be wondering, okay, Seth, so let's say they don't take place, they don't have the same power scaling because it's a different dimension. Now, what makes Broly so different than even the Cell Games counterparts? Well, the big difference is that Broly was going to destroy the universe over time, okay? Now, a lot of people are like, well, Seth, that was a translation error. And I'm just like, okay. First of all, I said over time, okay? So, first of all, he was stated he was going to destroy the South Galaxy over time, okay? Over time, he was attacking it, okay? And the thing about the South Galaxy is that the South Galaxy is 1/4 of the universe. It's not a galaxy. It's a quadrant of galaxies. And this was confirmed in Dragon Ball Super. A lot of people were telling, we were all telling you about this back in the day. There was no 4 galaxies in Dragon Ball. It's always been a bunch of galaxies. We were always telling you this. The Dragon Ball verse is a macrocosm. It always has been. It was stated in the Daizenshu to be a macrocosm. It was stated to be endless and forever expanding. And it was always stated that there were 4 quadrants of the universe. And the South Galaxy is a quadrant of the universe. So to destroy a quadrant of the universe, you'd have to destroy galaxies. And that is a perfect example of what happens at the start of the movie when you see him destroy a galaxy. So, okay, a lot of people are like, if he destroyed the galaxy, then why are there still stars? And the thing is that he was attacking it, okay? So even if he destroyed a galaxy, there's still billions of other galaxies that exist. So King Kai said, okay, he's going to destroy the South Quadrant, and he's also going to destroy my quadrant at this fucking rate. So clearly Broly is slaughtering galaxies, and I'm going to give you guys a calculation for this. So, it was stated by Piccolo and, the North Kaio that Broly's slaughtering these quadrants, and in his lifetime, he's going to be able to destroy the universe, okay? So, if you say that there's 100 billion galaxies in the universe, there's actually a lot more, but to lowball, we'll say there's 100 billion galaxies in the universe. Then you say Broly's going to live for fucking 100 years, okay? Even though he wouldn't live for 100 years. Let's say he's going to straight up attack this universe for 100 years straight, and he's not going to sleep a single goddamn day, okay? He's going at it for 36,500 days straight. So what he would have to do to destroy 100 billion galaxies or the universe is he would have to slaughter 2,739,726 galaxies a day. Now, if you were to divide that by 81,164 seconds in a day, he'd have to destroy 33.7 galaxies per second, which is multi-galaxy level, assuming he can destroy 33 galaxies every second of his life for 100 years straight without sleeping, which is absolutely absurd. And a lot of people, they just underestimate, and they're like, well, there's no way that's possible, because it's, and then they'll go back to Dragon Ball at the time was only 4 galaxies big. It was only retconned in Super that it was 4 galaxies big. Well, not only, it was stated to be a macrocosm that was over 4 galaxies big. It was stated to be endless like our universe. But let's use that logic, okay? Let's say that Broly was only going to destroy 4 galaxies over the course of his entire life. How strong would he have to be to do that, okay? So, to destroy 4 galaxies over his entire life, we'll say that there's 100 to 200 billion solar systems in the galaxy. In the Jocko manga, it states that there's about 200 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy, so we'll just say there's 200 billion solar systems per galaxy. I'll give both, 100 and 200 billion estimates, but let's say he'll destroy 400 to 800 billion solar systems in his galaxy, which is like 4 galaxies big. So this is still multi-solar system level, regardless of how you look at it. Even if we did the whole, 100 fucking years bullshit to 400, billion. So divide 400 to 800 billion solar systems by 36,500 days, and you'd get about 10 million to 21 million solar systems you have to destroy in a single day. And as we went over before, divide that by seconds in a day, and he'd have to destroy dozens of solar systems per second. So yeah, even if he was only destroying galaxies, he'd still at least be multi-solar system level, which is far beyond what anybody has had him at before. So like I said, you either have the people telling him he's fucking like Cell Jr. level or like Perfect Cell level, or you have the people that's telling him, oh, he can dominate Beerus or something. By the way, Toriyama said that Beerus was more scary than Broly, by the way, if you're trying to go there. But yeah, so he's about multi-galaxy if you say that in the movie there was a universe. Multi-solar system if you say that it was only 4 galaxies in that timeline or whatever the fuck. But other than that, he's just way more powerful than anyone's actually given him credit for. Now, a lot of people are like, well, Seth, that's just hyperbole. And it's like, no, it's not. It was literally the narrator himself has stated and shown him obliterating a galaxy. Whether that be over time or whatever the fuck, that's still multi-solar system or multi-galaxy. To attack a quadrant of galaxies, you'd have to be galaxy level. Because destroying a solar system is not even 1%. It's not even a 100 billionth of a galaxy, let alone a cluster of galaxies, or even a cluster of solar systems. He'd have to be multi-solar system. And you know what the crazy part is that this is not even in his legendary form. This is just in his normal, restricted Super Saiyan form that he's doing this. And Goku in that timeline, when he heard Broly was destroyed the South Galaxy, you know what he said? He said, wow, he might be stronger than me. Like, he wasn't convinced that he was stronger than him, even despite hearing that he destroyed a fucking galaxy. If that doesn't tell you that they're different terms of power, then you're crazy. There's no other way to put it. So like I said, there's people that, try to debunk this with hyperboles. They'll say, oh, well, Frieza was stated to be a threat to the universe, or Cell was stated to be a threat to the universe. And the thing about Frieza is that Frieza was stated to be a threat to, like, the way of life of the universe. Like, he was going to dictate the universe. He wasn't actually going to destroy it. He was going to control it, which is, yes, a threat. If we have a dictator controlling things, that's very threatening. And also for Cell, it was stated that his eventual goal was to destroy the universe. There's no proof that he could actually destroy the universe or any such thing. And we also don't know the lifespan of Cell. Broly has a lifespan. He's not going to live fucking forever. He has to do it within a certain set amount of time, and by King Kai's logic, possibly within a fucking year. So anyways, guys, Broly is just an absolute monster. He's heavily overlooked and underestimated. People will look at him really fallaciously. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but whatever. Subscribe if you like my calculations. Hope you enjoyed the video, hope you learned something, and until next time.